Good afternoon, friends. Today I'm going to pick up a subject, though I'm not an economist, nor I'm a specialist, but as a layman with a little experience and observation, and probably having a high emotional quotient. I am trying to dwell upon a subject wherein I'm just taking the role of the unorganized sector in the future. I see a huge potential in the unorganized sector. I think the unorganized sector contributes a huge revenue to the GDP. I think, if I'm not wrong, it's around 50%. And the employment is humongous. It's almost 70, 80, 90%. So compared to the corporates and the so-called India Inc., this unorganized uninked companies or sector, are playing a very important role. And I was just thinking that the economy being in shambles and there is so much of uncertainty vis-a-vis jobs and yes. So I was just thinking that if we start looking with a new perspective at the unorganized sector, probably I feel that they can be a big contributory factor for creating a kind of a force entrepreneurs. People who are losing jobs may not get disheartened. Now, why I'm basing these arguments are because I know, not being a qualified economist, I'll not go into the macroeconomics and all, which I don't understand too much. But I'll start with some living anecdotal experience where I've seen people having huge potential which can be nurtured and groomed and can be given a shape of a much better and cost-effective way of earnings. I'll start with a living example of a kind of a guy who was very innovative in his marketing skills. I mean, he was not a corporate guy, he was a very simple guy. So in the morning he used to send some healthy juices in the park, and since evening he used to create another small makeshift arrangement outside a liquor shop in Hojkas, and he used to sell those, namkeens and all. So he had a kind of a dual profession or occupation, and he was making money. So what I could sense even in those such small example, that how innovative these people are in terms of creating a kind of a marketing mix in terms of the need-based. Other segment where I have seen is in Nehru Place when I go, or Saket near the PVR. I see a lot of these hawkers selling books on the pavement. Now these hawkers don't have even any shelves to merchandise or display and all. But the way every day they remove and come back again to redisplay, I think they have an experiential insight about what sells and how it sells. So if one needs a bestseller, I think they are the people who actually can tell you in terms of the experience that how and which book sells well. Now coming back to 2-3 other examples at a little macro level are the people involved with the Lijjat Papad industry or the Amul milk or the Bombay Dabbawalas. I think they have an amazing supply chain, logistics, production cycle, and overall excellent management without the nitty-gritties of a corporates. And I think they are doing phenomenally well, and if they can be scaled up or fine-tuned and nurtured, I think there is a great potential for absorption. The unorganized sector, which I see the greatest potential, unlike the organized sector, is that it's very egalitarian in terms of opportunity. Everybody, anybody can try and get into this kind of a sector, whether it's an old man, a young man, a woman, a widow, whatever. So it gives ample opportunity. Another living example I'd like to share about is that these guys also have that CSR kind of a mind, though. I mean, I know it's fallacious to say CSR for roadside vendors or hawkers. But again, a guy I remember, I used to have wheatgrass quite often earlier. So I remember a guy used to sell wheatgrass, and he used to charge only for the wheatgrass, despite the fact that he was also offering neem. So a couple of times I put him into thinking that why didn't you charge extra for the neem? But he was so contented that he said no, he makes adequate money in this wheatgrass that for the health of other people, he doesn't mind giving a neem freebie in the juice because it doesn't make a major dent in his earnings. What I could sense there was that 10% additional cost to the neem was actually a kind of a CSR for public health. Wherein in normal CSR objective, the corporates have to shell out 2%, which also they feel a big pinch. And they are not very judicious in terms of doling out that money in CSR. So I see a lot of potential in these small vendors of CSR. And if they can grow up and scale up, I'm sure they can do a hell of a lot for the society. The other area which I would like to mention again is your local istiri wala, the press wala, the local, the electrician, the local plumbers and the small time, people who come to your house for odd jobs. I mean, we have to look in terms of their skill and try and instead of rushing to the laundry or trying to go to high-end shops and all, we should try and create a kitty of capex, a small kind of a thing, to give them so that they can scale up their technology. Like a press wala can get a steam press or something, instant press or something, and probably his earnings can be taken care of. And parallelly, the ease of business can also happen for both the customer as well as. So I think we have to start looking of in and around our surroundings to help these kind of small time entrepreneurs, I'll say, not vendors, who can be given the opportunity. The other area which I'd like to mention about before I wind up is even when I go to the red light, when I stop the car and I see the beggars and as well as people selling products like flags and toys and chargers and all, the kind of marketing skills, their ability to identify the decision maker. If two people are sitting, they can make out who is eventually has the buying potential, and then they ensure that they push you further and they try and sell it through hard negotiations. They're very good in bargaining. They give you immediate discount, unlike the big corporates who for even a 5% discount have to go into the whole hierarchy and the whole process of getting approvals and blah blah. Here it's an instant kind of a gratification. Will you give this off? He takes a call and he says, fair enough, take it. So I think if this sector, and then the other thing where you find the wonderful part in this street selling is that these guys, they don't have any humongous computers and backup by experts. How they manage the supply chain, the inventory, the cash flow, all these factors which big larger organizations have a department for, and how they fine tune the requirements as per the market needs. Come Republic Day or Independence Day, flags are being sold. Normal times you find chargers because they know there's a need. Everybody's looking for a charger. So I think the market per se, currently what I look about after the post-corona, that all of us need to do a little bit of, if not financially, through sweat, through hand-holding, through guidance, and possibly a little doling out in terms of soft loans and all in our neighborhood and all. And this is a segment which properly nurtured, I think it can create a lot of opportunities for jobs, and there will be less distress in the society. And the best thing in this segment I have found is the supply chain is very fair, because their overheads being low, it's so cost effective that they are not looking for large profits and cost escalation. Even at micro level, to conclude with, an idli wala sells it 12 rupees a plate, which a normal restaurant sells it for 100 or 80. And still he is able to take care of the supply chain. All the vendors are taken care. So I have a feeling that if rightly done post-corona and there is participation by all, I see a great future for the unorganized sector, and let's try and pull in our strengths and skill to help them. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay safe and stay positive. God bless all. Bye.